Hello and welcome to our Social Hackers Academy podcast. Here at Hack the Tech Industry podcast, we will be talking with experts to learn more about how to become a web developer and land a job. Do you want to know who we invited and what we learned from it? Hear our talk.
Okay, can you see my screen? Now it's...
Yes.
All right, good. So my name is Kostas Simitopoulos, as you can see here. I'm doing actually two jobs at the moment, and I have two duties. My first one is I am a career coach and counselor. Mainly I work with adolescents aged 15 to 17 years old, trying to help them to find an educational or career path that really suits them according to their aptitude and their skills, and also working a lot with young people, students, or generally aged 18 to 30 years old, for the same reasons, to find mainly the career path that they can support and works well with them. I'm also doing as a morning job. I'm working with refugees since 2016 for 5 years. I have been working in various camps, mainly on the field, with issues like shelter allocation, trying to find a place for people to house all the refugees that are arriving in Greece, to find a place for them to stay, and there I had also to deal with issues of conflict resolution and camp management. And generally, my work is mainly in the field, so I have had many experiences meeting refugees and migrants and understanding them, and generally I feel very acquainted with them all these 5 years with all this field work. So with these two, let's say, duties, I'm here to not to tell you about the topic of this matter, but if possible to discuss about this topic, since we are a group, as I see, that is handable to have a discussion, and it's not too big so that I would only speak. I'm not the best speaker in the world. I don't have the best presentation in the world, so it's best if we do all this thing together.
So Kostas, I'm sorry,
yes?
If you are not the best, I'm sorry, we have to stop this conversation now.
That's why I need the help of the people, yes.
Okay, yes, I gladly, let's see, I will be looking at if anyone raises their hand, and I will let you know, because I think I cannot allow them right now. But please go ahead with your presentation, and let's see how it goes.
So they cannot have an open, let's say, microphone. You need to
they raise their hand.
They raise their hand. Okay.
Yeah, and I will look at this. So since you are the host right now, I will tell you if anyone asks to speak. Okay.
Okay. These are the things that we have to take into account when we have a web discussion. For example, if we were live together in a room, I would ask everybody to introduce themselves and get to know each other. But now it's much more difficult to raise their hand and give permission. So maybe we can do it in the end, and it cannot be so interactive at the beginning. But we can do it in the end with questions and answers. So today's topic is about soft skills. I would ask you if you know this term, but since I will be speaking, I will tell you some things about soft skills. And the whole idea of today's discussion and presentation is to understand how you can use your soft skills, how you can discover your soft skills and strengths, so as to use them to find a job, or if you have a job, to find a more suitable job according to your desires. We will watch a video, a very short video, 2-minute video about the hard skills and the soft skills, which will help you to understand the difference between hard skills and soft skills. Okay, just to mention, hard skills is something that is very concrete, very specific, and it's usually required officially when to do your job. It's something very concrete. For example, as in the video would say, if a chef, for a chef, the hard skill would be to know how to cook, or to make it more in the context of the Social Hackers Academy, the computer programmer would have as a hard skill to know coding, for example, okay? Hard skills are learned generally in school or in while you're have a working experience and you get to acquire them, and they are very easy to measure because you can have certificates about hard skills. On the other hand, soft skills are mainly interpersonal, or let's say, as it says in the video, people skills. They can be used in any job, and they are very hard to measure because they're not accountable, and they are learned in the real world, and it takes time to get the soft skills. Okay, that was like an introduction for the video. Let's watch the video, which I think will help you to understand the idea of hard and soft skills, which will be useful while we continue to talk about this. I hope the sound will be okay.
When it comes to work skills,
that
it
can
is broken down into two types: hard skills and soft
Costa,
skills.
we can't see any video, by the way.
Both
You can't. Okay.
We cannot see a video. We only see your PowerPoint.
Okay, I'm sharing screen, but
When you share your screen, you probably said share only that window of the PowerPoint.
Okay.
So maybe unshare
Okay.
and reshare, but all of your screen, your whole desktop, they call it.
Okay.
Yes, this is we can see the video now. Thank you.
All right. Let me know if the sound is not working, okay? I'll start it.
When it comes to work
Yes.
skills, they can be broken down into two types: hard skills and soft skills. They're pretty different from one another, but both are necessary to be successful on the job. Let's take a look at the differences between the two. Hard skills are concrete skills that are specific to your job and are required for you to actually do your work. For example, if you're a chef, cooking would be a hard skill. Or if you're a computer programmer, coding would be an example. Soft skills, on the other hand, are interpersonal or people skills that can be used in every job. These include communication, teamwork, and adaptability. Hard skills are generally learned through school, training, or previous work experience. They're more objective, meaning that once you've learned the information or task, you would then possess that skill. Soft skills are more difficult to develop. You'll need to practice them over time in the real world with others. They come naturally to some people, while others may not have such an easy time with them. Hard skills are easy to measure. Employers can get a good idea of your hard skills by looking at your education, previous experience, and certifications. Soft skills are harder to evaluate. They can't really be communicated well through your cover letter or resume. Instead, employers usually have to wait until an interview or your first few weeks on the job to get a good idea of your soft skills. Despite their differences, you'll need both hard and soft skills if you want to become more hireable or be successful in your current job.
Goodwill Community Foundation.
That was a great video. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we need both hard skills and soft skills anywhere we like to work. Usually the emphasis is placed on the hard skills because they are more evident, they are more easily to understand, and usually they are mentioned in the job requirements. If you see an ad for a job, it would have job requirements, and usually it's mainly placed with hard skills, which is the thing to start, but also lately we are seeing many soft skills inside. I hope the difference and the whole idea and the whole concept is clear. If it's not, maybe you can write something in the chat. And we continue getting inside the soft skills, which is actually even more important nowadays. Let's see. So skill is the ability to do something well. It's soft because it involves a lot of interacting with other people. So it's called soft skills, as it says in the video, because it's about interpersonal skills. It's about people skills. It's about interacting with people. Examples: communication skills, teamwork, problem solving, critical thinking, conflict management, flexibility. They are much harder to learn. You cannot learn them in a classroom. You need the everyday life to learn these soft skills, and they are harder to measure and evaluate. But why are they so important? Because nearly every job requires to engage with others in some ways, to interact. Anywhere you work, you need to cooperate with other people. You need to speak with customers. You need to speak with suppliers. So interacting is mostly in every setting, in every job setting, something required. So having soft skills and being able to have a good interaction is something that makes the skills very important. Also, soft skills are very transferable. You can get them to any job, whereas hard skills, they are made only for specific jobs. Soft skills, you can have them in any type of job, and you will see also examples of these. They are acquired over a long time, and they're especially valuable in customer-based jobs. When you see a job ad, and then you feel that you are competent enough to apply for the job, it's the CV and it's the hard skills that will get you to attract the interest, so that, let's say, the employer will feel safe that okay, we are dealing here with a person that has, let's say, the base that we need, has the hard skills. If we are talking about the computer programmer, for example, they would need to check that you know all the requirements, the coding and everything about the computer needs for this job to be able to perform this job. But when you have similar candidates for this job, the final selection will be based on the soft skills, because the CVs, if we talk about hard skills, could look more or less the same. People can have the same qualifications, the same certifications, or the same degrees, but who the company is going to select, it's about the soft skills. So in the interview, the employer will mainly focus on soft skills after the company feels secure that the hard skills are acquired. And the magic thing with soft skills is that you can transfer them to any kind of job. Okay, let's take an example of a person who is working as an employee in a fast food. How's it called? In a fast food restaurant.
Restaurant.
Franchise. Okay. This person is cooperating with other colleagues. This person is interacting with customers. People would say, okay, I work in a fast food restaurant. I only know how to take orders and how to serve the people. It's not like this, because we tend to think very, very much about hard skills, and we forget all the soft skills we're getting in any kind of job setting. So in this example, a fast food employee is cooperating with other colleagues, is interacting with customers. This person is managing customers' complaints. So you can see that to perform all these tasks, you need to have patience. You need to develop problem solving and managing difficult situations. You need to have even conflict resolution in case you have a customer that is a bit angry, and you need to calm this person down and resolve the conflicts, or even between customers, because somebody took let's say, the cue of somebody else. You need to communicate with your colleagues and with the customers. You need to be a team player in order to be able to deliver and be good in your job. You need to be adaptable to any kind of situation that you will encounter. And of course, you need to be time managed so that the food is delivered on time. Okay, all these are soft skills that we're mentioning right now, and all these you could transfer them to a different kind of setting, to a different kind of job. So you say, oh, okay, I'm only working in a fast food restaurant, and I don't know many things out of this job. But at the same time, you forget that you might be acquiring amazing soft skills through this job that you can present them in a future application. This is an image for an interpreter. Okay, an interpreter for the most of the people sounds like a person who only translates the message given by the employee to the beneficiary. Again, it's an example that we forget here that an interpreter needs to have communication skills, needs to be able to resolve conflicts in situations that the two, let's say, members that he is interpreting are having a conflict and he needs to intervene. He needs to be able to organize, for example, in refugee camps that I'm working, needs to have different skills. It's not only just saying the words, but you need to have different skills to do that. He needs to be adaptable, or she needs to be adaptable. Teamwork, again, problem solving, flexibility, networking with others. All these are skills that you can present while you're applying for a different job, but they are skills that can be useful in any kind of job setting. So we need to recognize soft skill, and I would have an exercise for that if it was like a live context and it was easy to do this, but let's move on. So Damien and everyone, I created this presentation because as far as I knew, the people attending would be refugees, mostly refugees, having been a part of Social Hackers Academy. So I wanted to make like something very specific for them to understand what the refugees and migrants can be, let's say, having some skills more advanced that they can help them in a competition with others towards finding a job. Because finding a job is always, either we like it or not, a competition with other people, with other candidates who want to do the same thing. So we need to understand that we need to somehow exclude ourselves from the others in a good way, to differentiate each other, to have an advantage against others. So let's see what kind of soft skills, what kind of strengths a refugee or a migrant could have while searching for a job nowadays. So nowadays, we're talking about the private sector, companies. There is a tendency that they are appreciating much more curiosity versus smartness. It's been for a long time, people are getting degrees and they are feeling very smart, and this is no more the case. We are full of these people. We need people who are, let's say, smart at the moment. That's a curious person. A curious person is a person that wants to learn more and cannot stop asking questions, not in an annoying way, but in a way that he or she wants to learn more things about the job, about life, about generally topics, and is also curious to not only to ask but also to read and use all this information available around, free information, to, let's say, satisfy the curiosity this person has. Companies are looking for this kind of people who are curious, not generally smart, but who are curious. So I think a refugee, since everything is quite new in the new country, and if they have this element of curiosity, it's something that they can understand that it's advantaging them, it's an advantage, and they can also show it as an advantage, that they are curious about things. Another thing is information versus education. The average person is trying to get certificates and diplomas because the average person thinks that this will advance the opportunities they have and the chances to get a job. Nowadays, the tendency is for companies to look for people who are informed, who are generally following the news and the tendencies in every sector, not to attend only typical educational programs to get degrees, but to be, it's also connected with curiosity, to be informed about what is the latest, to be up to date to the information. And if we talk about the programming sector and the computer sector, this is very, very important because the changes are phenomenal, and every day you can have new developments, and people who are informed are much more valuable than the people who are educated, because education is always late in following the developments, because education, it's time to develop an educational program and then to teach to the people, and the information is running really fast. Another thing which is also nowadays appreciated in companies is the humbleness. It might sound strange. I'm not talking about the shyness. I'm talking about the humbleness. To be humble, which is not, let's say, the average attitude. People, you can find people who have this kind of attitude, who is a bit arrogant, which is a bit arrogant, and the physical humbleness that refugees have could be an advantage in this case, because if you are humble, you can cooperate better with your colleagues, you can leave your ego aside when the time comes to do that, because cooperation is about this, at some points to project your ego, but at some points to leave your ego aside so that work is done and cooperation is completed. And a lot of the competitors, let's say, to find a job, have this average attitude, which include inside a lot of issues of arrogance. So humbleness can be an advantage in these settings. Very important aspect also and strength is resilience. In order for refugees and migrants to make it all this way to Europe and to face all these difficulties which make them fall down psychologically or even practically, and then they get up and then they fall down again and they get up. Resilience is a word that means, let's say, to say it plainly, to get up when you fall down. So refugees have already done that in many situations because they face many difficulties until they arrive in a European country, if we talk about the European setting. This is very much required also in a job setting because the world changes very fast and the changes are very fast. So you need people that can, when the whole thing is going down, they can be brave and patient to get up and also help the others get up. And this is something that, let's say, could be the case of refugees that have been tested in such situations and they know how to get up when things are difficult. This is a slide very much concerning the Social Hackers Academy, that we live in a digital world and digital knowledge is becoming the most crucial knowledge nowadays. So the people that, let's say, who are part of Social Hackers Academy and they have this knowledge, it's not only about coding, any sort of digital knowledge that you have nowadays can be used to get a job. We can understand even now the situation with the coronavirus that has made all the services much more digital. What an advantage it is for people who are, let's say, digitally very competent to find jobs, even new jobs that they couldn't imagine in the past, like people hiring others who have digital knowledge so as to perform duties they cannot do. So digital knowledge, this is especially a slide for people who are like the attendees of the academy, is something that we cannot only think in big companies in coding, it can be even simple things. Whoever knows how to do them digitally can be a work for this person. Another thing I put here is the why question. You can see a lot of, let's say, the competitors about the job, not really having an answer to the question why I'm looking for this job, which is a very important question for most of the young people. They need to know why they're applying. And usually they're going to interviews with a lot of hard skills and a lot of qualifications, but they cannot understand, they cannot answer to the question. Usually the interviewers are posing, why do you want to take this job? Why do you want to be part of this company? And people cannot answer that. They just want the salary out of it, and they just want to do something and have a job, but they haven't really answered the question, why do I want this job? I believe a refugee has an inner motivation to make it in this new country that he or she is now, and this already creates a purpose in life. So they have an answer to this why question. I want to make it in this country that I am, and they are really, let's say, motivated to do that, and they could do many things to do that. So this is also an advantage compared to competitors for the same job, for other candidates who are, let's say, just doing it to have a salary, but they don't really know why they want to have this job. Also keep in mind, there is like a rule in the job market. It's not officially said, but it's like unofficial, like 2 foreign languages are nowadays like a university degree. I'm not talking about master degrees, I'm talking about bachelor degrees. Bachelor degrees have lately been given less importance because there are much of theoretical knowledge and cannot be applied directly at work. So a person that would know 2 foreign languages, which is also the case oftenly for refugees, could feel that they have a really great asset to know 2 foreign languages, and especially if you know rare languages, not the very typical ones that everybody is learning, like English or French or German or Spanish, could be a great asset, and you can find yourself a job just because you know these foreign languages. So let's have some more good news. The soft skills can be developed. To go back to the soft skills and things that are, let's say, counting for every person. Soft skills can be developed. That's what the word skill means. It doesn't mean like something you have because you are born with it. It means something that can be learned. So if it can be learned, it can be developed. And there are many ways to develop soft skills. For example, if a person is doing an internship it's like a practical experience on a subject that you are already studying and wanting to get some practical experience. And it can be done through various European programs or company programs or university programs. It's a paid job, but usually very low salary, but you mostly get the practical experience out of it. Or if you become a volunteer, it's also a very nice way to acquire soft skills. For example, the European Solidarity Corps, it's a very good way to acquire soft skills. There are various offers if somebody is looking for this from NGOs, from various initiatives, from state organizations, or usually you can get soft skills by participating to sport, music, cultural events. It's really good for that. Also, people can organize their own project. For example, you can create your blog. You can, any idea that kind of makes you enthusiastic, you can now with all these web tools offered and all these free tools offered digitally, you can create it. And you, even if you don't have funding, you can do many things progressing with this idea. And through this idea, you can get many soft skills, especially if you try to include others in this idea, like to work together with others, because as we said, soft skills, it's about also interacting with other people. So the main idea and the whole point actually of this presentation is to understand that if you don't have the typical qualification, and that's why it's created mainly for refugees who maybe feel they are, let's say, in a disadvantage compared to other people of the same age in typical qualifications, they can discover the skills that they already have. They can discover strengths that they already have compared to others that they never thought about. So they can present a profile that is much more competitive and much more differentiated from other people who are looking for the same job. And to be honest, many companies are looking for the differentiated profile nowadays, for somebody who has something different to offer in a job. That's the core of the presentation. Now it's the time to have some questions and to pass the microphone after raising hands. Damian, you can say the practical way of this better for me.
What I said, Costa, that what I liked about your presentation, it was very hands-on. And actually, let's see when the COVID situation finishes, maybe we can do your exercise in real life at some point. I have a couple of questions. My first question is, how do you measure soft skills? Like this, I ask for us, like, how could we measure? Because we are certain we have created a pedagogical experience that on its own builds the soft skills, especially ones like effective communication, working in a team, these kind of things. They are definitely building these skills. How would you propose to us to measure this? Is there a way?
Okay, I would say, personally, I believe that a soft skill could be measured by enthusiasm you have about this and by belief you have about this in yourself. And since we are very much interested about talking about the job setting in all this, for example, I could tell you that there is, let's say, some typical questions that people encounter in the interview, like tell us some things about yourself, tell us what do you think is very positive, your positive aspects. They know your positive aspects because you told them in the CV. They know some things about yourself because you told them in the CV. They're not looking for this. What they're looking for is the way you express about yourself, the way you talk about your positive aspects about yourself, how much you are like, your eyes are like this when you talk about yourself, not in an arrogant way, but how much enthusiastic you are when you're talking about yourself. And if we talk about soft skills, for example, they would say, how did you encounter a situation? How did you deal with a situation that you have to solve a conflict? And there they would check in what way you speak about the way you handle the situation. So as it was said in the video, soft skills cannot be measured, let's say, in a way very concretely like hard skills, but the way you speak about them and the way you present, let's say, situations that you develop them, it's a good way for people to understand how developed they are in yourself.
Okay. Thank you very much for that answer. And I have a quote. I actually, a friend of mine, I was talking with him yesterday, and he told me this quote, and I want to ask your opinion if you agree with it. The quote is, hire for attitude, train the skill. How do you feel about that?
Hire for an attitude and trade?
Hire for attitude.
Yes.
So don't look essentially for like to have all the hard skills in the world, all the qualifications or whatnot, but hire for attitude and then train the person to acquire the skill that's necessary to perform his or her job.
Okay. Well, I've been raised in a Greek setting that that companies usually most of the companies don't want to spend a lot of funding and money in training people, but it sounds a very wise quote, because you can't easily find the suitable person in terms of personality, in terms of soft skills. So if you find this person, it would be worth to spend some money getting the hard skills, because the other part is much more difficult to find. Like, as let's say, a click, a person that clicks with the company, a person that clicks in a specific job. The hard skills are easier to acquire. The soft skills is something difficult, and you cannot get it with trainings. It's mostly about a mentality and also experiences a person has.
I see. All right. Thank you very much. My by far the favorite, the thing you said that I agree 1,000%, and I keep saying this to our students, to our graduates, to everyone who is looking for a job, is that getting a job is a competition. There are 100, 200, 1,000 applicants in some cases, and only one will get the job. So this situation makes it a competitive situation. I've noticed, especially in the refugee population, that people are more humble, they don't want to compete. This is not what they think about. Have you saw this? Have you noticed this in your work in the camps?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have experienced that, because I think they come from cultures that are not so competing, like let's say, the so-called Western culture. It's not about, usually in their cultures, about competing others. It's about if you can do the job or not, because maybe a lot of people are not skilled to do the job. So it's not about so much competition or how you can do it. So they're not used to compete with others, and they have, I think, a humbleness is a result of many things, not only this. It's also being in a foreign country. I would be very much more humble than I am if I was in a foreign setting. And
I agree with you, but at the same time, they have to get the job. And what I am at least seeing is that they don't get the job, because the next person next to them even might have less hard or soft skills. They're getting the job. So what could we do about this? What our school could do about this, about making them realize, because we've done videos, we've done talks, we've done everything we could imagine so far. What would you advise us, or what do you do, or what do you do in similar situations?
Okay. To compete others is also sometimes to think in different ways about competition. Like, maybe I cannot compete the others in the very known fields of competing, like the very typical jobs that people are looking for, but maybe I can create some jobs that people are not covering, or I can compete in not so known jobs, let's say. I think the important thing is to look at your students and see the real strengths, and helping basically them to understand their real strengths, because they have also to kind of promote themselves. And each person needs to find the thing that makes them a bit unique in the job market. That's why I tried to make a much more, as you said, hands-on presentation, a very practical presentation, mentioning things like resilience, like humbleness. Like, I chose these things from many things that I could choose, because I believe they could be applied in a refugee setting, or at least to give the people some examples of how to differentiate in different fields that traditionally people are trying to promote themselves. Because, okay, I suppose if we talk about computers and programming and coding, a lot of work is done in many, let's say, competitors for a job, and many people know coding. that's why we should shift the focus to the soft skills and generally the strengths of a person. And that could be humbleness, that could be maybe do some coding for very easy things that they need the person to be there and check this website and be sure that everything is going okay. And the person who is very qualified is a bit getting annoyed and bored in this job and doesn't want to do it, or would do it only for the money. But a refugee who has also other motivation, let's say to make it in this country and has different aspirations, could see this as an interesting job. That could differentiate a person. We need to think differently to distinguish ourselves from others.
I see. That's actually a very nice spin, because that's really interesting. Yeah, don't necessarily make them competitive, but support them in realizing what makes them unique, and then put fire on that, like focus on that instead of focusing on an attribute that they might not possess, like being competitive. Thank you very much.
Damien, with my coaches, I tell them that I have a different definition about what career is. Usually people, when they say what is a career, they think of the various stops or the various jobs they have done in their life. For me, and also for many other people, career is defined as what you have to give to the world. If we see ourselves, if we see the definition of career as that, it helps us only focus on, as we say, what you have unique, what you have different from the others, instead of thinking of how good is our CV and how competitive it is, but what we have different from the others to add to all the hard skills and all the typical qualifications we have, what we have to give out to the world, to offer to the society, not in an ethical way, but our unique way.
Yeah. Of course, we don't say to be unethical. Be yourself, whatever that is. There is always an employer out there who is looking for you. So it's a numbers game at some point. I want to, Costa, we are already running late. If you allow us 5 more minutes, maybe. Okay, thank you. So Maria Bayoki says he congratulates you for your excellent presentation, and she realizes that she needs to exercise her soft skills and give emphasis on your strengths. And in general, I am very torn between humility and competition, because it's like the exact opposite. So how do you find a balance there? Is there such a thing as a balance, Costa?
A balance between competition and
and express and humility, humbleness.
Humbleness. Okay. Okay.
So for me, humbleness. I think it's called humility, to be honest. So yeah, humbleness or humility and competition. For me, they are the opposite. How do we find the sweet spot right in there?
The opposites are, I will use my term, but maybe yours is better, humbleness. I think the opposite is arrogance, not competition. Like, for example, you can't be in an interview showing these strengths of yours, but not in an arrogant way. Okay, because it is about the way you present things. A humble person doesn't mean a person who never speaks up about himself or herself, or never is like presenting the good sides. It's over the limit, let's say, feeling too much about itself. So we don't want this to be, let's say, expressing things that we don't possess, and to have an attitude that I'm like an amazing person and you need me. I know you need me in your company, but it's about like presenting our strengths based on facts and based on really a process that has been with honesty and being ourselves at the moment, presenting this. And if somebody clicks with this, it can be an amazing click. It doesn't mean that if we present our strengths and our personality to every company, that everybody will say, oh, it's great. Now I like that you are honest and you are yourself. But if we find a company that this thing that we have to offer, as we said, the career, this unique thing that we have is clicking with this company, they're looking for this company, they will forget about the rest of the candidates and they will focus on this candidate. Okay, so we need to, of course, have patience and not wait immediately our honesty and humbleness and the fact that we have recognized what we have unique to be appreciated by others. We need to have patience and wait for the time that this clicks with a specific employer.
Yeah, that's, I can't repeat enough times what you just said, that, and I think it connects with what I said earlier about it's a numbers game. So you need to go to a few interviews, interact with people, express your true self, and someone will buy this. Someone will accept you for who you are and will not expect. So if someone accepts you for who you are, they know what they're waiting to get. But if you go there as a fake Damian, for example, then we're going to have problems. It's not just about getting employed. It's about building your career. And I do understand that, if I must eat today, I must eat today. But at the same time, establishing a career, launching a career, especially at the very, very beginning, where you know nobody and nobody knows you, you have to go the extra mile, and 10 extra miles after the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Costa, I don't know if anyone of the attendees, you can raise your hand and you can speak, or you can write a message in the chat box. As far as I'm concerned, Costa, as we're waiting for potentially another question or intervention, I have my last question for you. You mentioned earlier that the HR manager asks you, why do you want to work with us? And everybody's mind goes for like money. Duh, that's why we all work. And this is by far the worst answer you can give, at least as far as I'm concerned, as a hiring manager in our organization. Could you give us a couple of tips, a couple of solutions on what to say? Like, are there good answers that someone could just replicate, even if they don't mean it?
Well, employers, it's not about experienced employers. Usually people that have seen quite many candidates, they can really understand if somebody is trying to disguise and fool them, or it's really coming from inside, from the heart, something that they're saying. So actually, nobody would say like, let's say frankly, that I'm here for the money. Everybody would come up with a different story why I need to employ you. If they ask them, why does our company need you, and what do you have to offer in this company, they will probably have even prepared some answers for this very typical question. But people have become very experienced, and at the same point they can understand the real motivation or not when you answer this question. So to be, let's say, successful in answering this question, to have a good answer, let's say, would be to, if it's really a click, if you really find in this company yourself and you see somewhere there, that's the only way that the HR manager or the employer can get connected with what you say, because they will ask also some questions which are explanatory for what you said, and they will understand if you mean it or not. So only if you, when you apply and you see yourself somewhere there, it doesn't mean that it's the dream job, but if you already have understood the role that you can have and this quite excites you, I think you can present it in a nice way and make this sound like it's the truth, and that's when people connect with
That's the truth.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yes, Costa. I try to give a tricky answer, but you stick to your guns, which is honesty, and eventually you'll get there. It's just a matter of patience. So I don't see anyone asking a question or raising the hand. So Costa, how can we reach you if any of the attendees or the people who are going to watch the video, because we are recording it, how can they reach out to you?
Okay, I can right now in the chat my email. I think it's the best way they can write for anything they wish, any questions or help or any guidance, whatever they need. I'm here and I will be really glad to do this. I'm doing this also voluntarily for many refugees who are looking for a job. It's let's say my dream to combine these two duties, these two jobs that I'm doing. So yeah, I would be glad to answer to any questions or discuss with anyone.
Great. His email, for anyone who might not see it, is k.simitopoulos, Simitopoulos. So it's k.simitopoulos @gmail.com. Costa, it's been great getting to know a bit about you, and I want to thank you and express my appreciation towards you, because for us, many people praise what we do, but what I usually say is that please go and praise people who work in the field, people who are in the refugee camps, because I am sitting in our comfortable office right now, and my biggest problem is if the AC is on. And you are there in the trenches with the refugees. So I want to express my appreciation for everything you do and what you stand as a person. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you also for inviting me. It's been an honor, and we are like a chain. We all contribute to this. It's not about being in the field or not. It's about it's like a chain. We all need in this effort to help everyone have like as more close to equal opportunities, or let's see more opportunities, let's say, for making a life, for having a hope in this life.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I think
yeah,
we're all working.
We all need that. Yeah, thank you very much, Costa. Have a lovely night. Thank you all for participating actively. Talk later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for sharing with us your knowledge. It was a pleasure to have you as part of the Hack the Tech Industry podcast. You can join our live event every last Wednesday of the month, remember, and check our social media to get to know more about our coming events.